motherfuckers not looking.
What's going on, everyone? My guest today on Past the 40 is Johanna Grange. Johanna, how are we doing today?
Hi, I'm doing great. How are you?
I am excellent. Great to have you here. Where are you joining us from?
I am joining you from the luxurious office space of my home in Chicagoland.
What part of Chicago?
I'm a little north of the city in a town called Glenview.
Very nice. Shout
Yeah.
out to Glenview, Chicago, Illinois, everyone. Are
Yeah,
you ready and excited for your 40 questions today?
I am. I'm very honored to be here.
We are honored to
Honored
have
to
you.
hit that over the hill mark.
Oh, it's just a number. We know that.
Yes.
So I am ready when you are. Let's go.
All right.
How did you celebrate your 40th birthday or turning 40?
I had an amazing 40th. My husband gave me a bucket list of options to go away for a long weekend, and we selected New Orleans because I had never been.
Awesome.
And I didn't want to go during all the riffraff, as the 40-year-olds say, right?
Yeah.
So we went Wednesday through a Sunday, and we just ate and drank and had adult conversations, novel, walked. It was really fun.
Very nice. New Orleans, great city.
Yeah, yeah, we had a great time.
You recently got a shelter puppy. What kind of dog, name, and please just brag about her because we are a very dog-friendly show here.
I love it. Yes, we did. It was somewhat of a spontaneous decision because we had a dog that passed away from cancer about 3 years ago. And our kids had been lamenting and talking about her so much, it was starting to become depressing all over again. So okay, long story short, my daughter's seventh birthday was in May. And in lieu of gifts, because we're so tired of stepping on all these little pieces, and God knows our kids have so much,
Sure.
we decided in lieu of gifts that the kids would bring pet supplies that we would donate to a shelter. And so she was totally on board with it, my oldest daughter, Olivia, and we did just that. And we were completely impressed by this shelter. And I got to talking about to my husband, and we had been looking at breeders and very expensive, as you all know. And I coerced him to come back. Probably the drinking in New Orleans helped with that.
The adult conversations.
Yeah. So I coerced him, and he said, "All right, we'll do it the first weekend when we're back. But if we do go, then we're going to come back with the dog," which I knew, and we did. And her name is Eloise. She is a very, very sweet, sweet dog. It's our first shelter pup, and she's about 16 weeks old. And you might hear her snoring.
Awesome. Love her already.
Yeah.
What is 101 Things I Love?
That's a great question. So 9 years ago, I was going through a really difficult time in my life, and I started a blog, just a creative outlet. I graduated with a degree in broadcast journalism, and I kind of wanted to get back to my writing roots. So I did just that, and it became this sort of running list of things that I loved. And then I got to 101 really quickly, and I thought, well, that was a stupid name. And it's 9 years later, and there's been this journey through divorce and marriage and children and all of these things, city to suburbs, and it's sort of chronicled 9 years of my life, which I rebranded it to be Johanna Grange this year because I almost threw in the towel. My husband said, "You shouldn't do that. You've put so much sweat equity into it." So it's this love-hate relationship now.
Something you have to do, but when you do it, it feels good.
Yeah, yeah. And there's amazing experiences and people that have come as a result of it.
For sure. What are three words that your best friend would use to describe you?
Oh gosh, I can't remember what I originally wrote, but I'm just going to go with what comes to mind. So intensely loyal, intense, or aggressive. I've been told both. And witty, funny.
All right, we're going to try to not have not spark the aggressive trait coming out of you in this interview here.
No, this isn't a work conference call, so you're okay.
What is something that you gave up on and wish you hadn't?
Oh gosh, that's a really great question. I would say, well, I'm a hopeless romantic, so in some part of my, filed way back 20-year-old, I gave up on dance. I went to school for journalism, but originally I went to school for the performing arts. I wanted to be a ballerina. And one day my father called me and said, and this is so cheap now, I'm not going to pay 18 grand for you to take dance classes all day. To which point I had to find a real job. Like, that's not a real job. I mean, it's an amazing thing. And I feel like the performing arts are, often neglected now, but I wish I would have stuck with it. Who knows what path I would be at this point.
You never know.
Yeah.
What's a piece of advice you would give to your 20-year-old self, aside from stick with ballet?
Yeah, right. Gosh, this is a really good question. And
Thanks.
I feel like it changes often. I think I would have said, go for it. I started my company later on in my career, and I had all these hesitations ranging from finance to could I do it? And I wish I would have started it earlier. But then again, I think we started it at a point in time where we were right on the bubble of social media becoming a real thing, which is what I do for a full-time job. And I think it's a two-parter. My other question would be to not care about things as much, because all the things that I cared about so much in my 20s are merely a blip on the radar at this point. Yeah.
Priorities change for sure.
Yeah.
If you had to identically repeat any single year of your life without changing a thing, which year would you like to live over again?
All these answers, I feel like I answered a decade ago when I was looking at this. I think it would be like 32 or 33. I'd had my first child. It was right before that. So I got married in 2010. We were having a lot of fun as a couple. I found out I was pregnant after difficulty. It was just a really fun growth spurt. And then after I had the child, things got hard again.
I know the feeling. I'm sure many people listening know exactly what you mean by that. Same question, but a day rather than a year. Is there any day that stands out that you would want to relive?
Gosh, I think back to really fun trips. Those always seem to resonate the most. I mean, we've all had career accomplishments, but like I think back to a day. Actually, the first time my husband and I traveled to South America, we ate at a really amazing restaurant called Astrid and Gaston. It's been covered on Bourdain. It's been covered everywhere. And they even opened up a restaurant here in Chicago called Tanta. And that was just a really good day. Like, we were in a foreign country. We had both never been. We were eating this amazing meal. It was kind of a pinch me moment. I mean, not a lot of people are going to South America. I think that it's becoming a little bit more trendy. And nothing in particular really happened. It was just like, this is adulting and we're in a really cool place. Then we're not broke for once.
Where in South America is that?
It is in Chile.
Right. I think I went there. My wife. Is it possibly Peruvian initially, and then they opened one in Chile? Do you know?
Yes.
Yeah, I went.
Yes,
My wife and I went on our honeymoon in Chile, and we went to that restaurant while we were there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Do you have a go-to karaoke song?
I am incredibly bad at karaoke.
What does that? What does that mean, though? How are you bad at karaoke?
Yes, everyone is, but I mean, you really don't want me on your team at all. I don't know. I feel like I'm such an 80s child. As long as you put me in a corner with 80s music, which is really funny because my husband had such a different upbringing, but we were born in the same year. And all the music I grew up on, like Phil Collins and Huey Lewis, no, he has no recollection. If I hear that song come on, I'm like, oh, this is such a good song. And he's like, what is this? So, yeah, it's got to be 80s.
Something 80s.
Yeah.
So you are a woman about town in the city of Chicago. Let's say you had a friend coming to town for one night who had never been there before. Where do you go?
This is really hard. So one of the things you don't know about me is that I ask a lot of questions, and that's how I learn. So my first thought is, tell me more about this woman. I mean, I could offer a gazillion. I'm a foodie, so it would be based around a meal. And I think I would go off the proverbial path as well and try to do something that's much more of an experience. So there's this amazing restaurant in northern Chicago called Goosefoot, and it's owned by a couple. There's about, don't quote me, but maybe like 12 tables in the room, and it's very much of the molecular gastronomic mindset, but it's so artful, their presentation, and it's a BYOB, and next to it they have a liquor shop, so if you run out of booze you can go to the store, but they come and explain every single dish. And so a lot of my favorite experiences and memories are always based around a meal, and I would take them there first. And then there is this brand new amazing rooftop that's part of our Peninsula Hotel here in Chicago. I would take them. It's called Z Bar. It just launched last week, and I think it's bar none the best views of the city. And I try to stay away from Michigan Avenue because I think it's really trite.
Right.
Yeah.
Sounds like a fun night to me. I'm in next time I visit.
I'm pretty chill. I mean,
Yeah.
You're not going to find me at the clubs.
Good. I mean, at this point, that was a long time ago.
Yeah.
If you could teach a high school class on any subject, what would it be?
I would be creative writing, or just anything in the writing genre. Not necessarily like classic English literature and all the things that I had to do, but
Sure.
I just think that writing is a lost art. I can't tell you how many resumes or people that I look at or emails that I get, and we all make mistakes, but I do cringe quite a bit.
Right, but not on a resume or a work email. Come on.
I know.
What is something that you're very excited about right now?
I'm really excited about the growth of my agency. We have more people than we've ever had before, which one would hope that you're getting more business, not less. We're acquiring more national clients. When we first started, I really thought that we would be an agency that catered to local businesses and we wouldn't grow beyond that. I don't know why I thought that, but I shouldn't have, but I did. And now I think it's about like a 60-40 split where a lot of our clientele are outside of Chicagoland, and we're having a lot of fun with it. People are hearing about us. That first 2 years, I mean, my husband sat next to me on the couch, and we didn't have much conversation. I was staring at a laptop, and I was a boatload of fun. So he's been very patient.
So you're in the social media world, if there's a 40-year-old listening that has a passion and wants to become an authority or an influencer in their respective niche, what platform should they go and be aggressive on right now? Or is it a combination of all of them? Like where should people's focus be these days?
I think you have to have social media, but I think the most precious impression you could have in strengthening somewhat of a digital footprint is having your own piece of real estate, whether that's a website, a blog, whatever it is, because Instagram could be gone tomorrow. Any channel could be, right? And I think this notion of organic reach, which is how we all started finding out about other brands and finding people, is just gone. You need a lot of dollars to get that content seen, but your website is yours. So if you can redirect people to those, no matter what happens in the social media sphere, that's a good thing to have. And I think that's the most priceless option. But then after that, I would say Instagram.
All right, great advice. Would you rather live 25 more years with no regrets or 50 with many?
That's such a good question. 25 years with no regrets or 50 with many? 25.
All right.
Yeah.
So you mentioned that you studied broadcast journalism in college. Did you have visions of one day being in front of the camera, or?
Oh yeah.
You did. Okay. And that
bubble popped right about 3 months after I graduated.
Has that skill set though, learning, helped in your role as a social media personality?
Most definitely. I think that rejection has been a theme throughout my life. And that's not a bad thing. I
Not at
think
all.
you have to learn how to get rejected and pick yourself up. And I very quickly learned that I didn't want to live in one podunk town after another. So I entered the marketing world, and no regrets there either. But I think rejection is pretty much the biggest learning, and it's built pretty thick skin, hence the intensity aspect of my personality.
It's all good stuff. Rejection is just another opportunity somewhere else.
Yes.
Let's say you have to go on a road trip from Chicago to Vancouver and you have to bring three people with you. Who are they, not family members?
Okay, I want to cheat for a second because I feel like this is a really good question. Oh, I had them. Oh, they're not family members. Okay, I got this. So
Wait, I just got to want to point out this is not cheating because the answer that you're looking at you actually wrote. So
fair, but it does feel like I should just know these offhand. This is what happens with old age. Okay, so I wrote down Ricky Gervais because he makes me laugh the most out of all comedians, and he swears ruthlessly and says what we're all thinking. So I would bring him. I would bring my friend Joel and my friend Helen. Obviously, they're not family, but they feel like family just because I think you need a little estrogen and you need a little testosterone. My friend Joel is an entrepreneur and just like a very big, deep thinker, but you could have these really deep conversations with, and just has a good soul. And my friend Helen is a local mom friend. She's a photographer who I work with heavily, but she's got a great sense of humor. She's born a day after me. So not a lot of people get Geminis, and she's super creative. So I think if we had nothing else, we would have amazing dialogue on this desert island.
that's all you need. How would your best friend, if it's Helen or Joel or somebody else, fill in the following sentence? I love Johanna. She's the best. I only wish she were a little less blank.
I can't. You're skipping around on me. I can't remember.
There's no order. We never talked. We never talked about it.
Oh, that's so not fair. I wish she was a little less forgiving. A little less forgiving.
Does that mean that sometimes you think you let people kind of take advantage?
Yes. Yeah.
That's fair. What is a book that everyone should read?
Who stole my teeth? No, I'm just kidding. That's the most generic. Good Night Moon. I'm trying to think of my latest arsenal. Chris, I don't know. I haven't read books in so long. I can't remember. And the ones that I read are embarrassing flight reads. Like the last one I read was a loose autobiography of one of the play bunnies that was on that TV show. She was blonde.
Oh, could have guessed that one.
You probably know now. Anyways, she was on that MTV TV show, and I literally read it front to cover because it was just garbage.
All right, so that's the last book you read. That's not necessarily a recommendation for the listeners here to go out and grab that one.
I don't know. Come back to me on that one.
Listen, Good Night Moon is definitely one that every parent, if you haven't read it already, that's definitely something that you should be involved in. I have it in my house.
Oh,
hasn't been long since I read that to my boys either, so
that's so sad.
we'll go with that. If you
Okay.
if you could ensure that your children have one experience that you have had yourself, what would you want it to be?
Travel. I think traveling changes you. And you don't have to go 5 places a year. I have friends who are very well traveled, and I am not the most well traveled person. But I think you need to go and have humbling experiences instead of living in this bubble. And I find that my friends who I really like to have dialogues with have a worldly sense. They have seen strong poverty. They appreciate what they have. I think it just changes you in really profound ways. And I'm not necessarily talking about going to Miami or New Orleans or LA. I'm talking, Thailand, India, South America, like more Africa. I mean, just there's so many places.
I could not agree more. Is that something, your kids are how old?
7 and 5.
Have you begun to take them on trips? like that, like any big trips with them?
No, that's something we're talking about doing next year because I feel like they're just at that maturity
Right.
point, and I'm really excited too because I think they're little sponges, and I think they're really good little travelers. I think we'd have a lot of fun. They're very inquisitive.
Great. I mean, I'm all for it, and my wife and I, plan to try to show our kids the world as much as possible.
It's expensive, right?
Yes,
So,
very, very, very.
it's a privilege.
But there are people doing it. There are people out there living
With a lot
living
younger.
with a lot younger and like figuring it out. Like there's always ways to figure out what you want to do. You can live any type of life you want. So if it involves taking your kids away to Southeast Asia and Indonesia every year, then like there's a way to do
There's
it.
people that do it with
Exactly.
babies, so yeah.
Exactly. What's a great piece of advice that you often give to others?
Um, I feel like, hold on, I want to look for this one. There's so many. I feel like I think it kind of falls along that line of just go for it, just do it, start it now. I think that you don't have to keep a desk job forever and sort of wish to break out of that cubicle. I think if you've got a great idea, you've tested it, you have a business plan, like go for it. Make sure it's well thought through. But I think it's so exciting because there's so many different opportunities and jobs that have been created for like our kids and people who are leaving college. I mean, it's just endless. So take advantage of those opportunities. You don't have to work for the man. I think entrepreneurialism is alive and well.
Sure is. A lot of opportunity out there. Who
Yeah.
is your celebrity crush, if you have one?
Well, you know who my top was. It was Anthony Bourdain. And so he still is and will be.
I was gonna say he can still certainly be the answer, and fits nicely with the travel being important in life.
Yes.
Let's say you're going to a deserted island and have a 6 CD changer. As people our age understand what that means. Our kids will have no idea what we're talking about. But you have to bring 6 CDs with you for eternity on this island. What are you bringing with you?
Do I have to have the actual name of the CD? Because that's really testing memory.
So then you're just going to give me the artist instead?
I'm going to give you artists.
Okay, go for it.
Okay, so for sure, Rolling Stones, Anderson .Paak, Elton John, specifically Beyonce, the Lemonade album,
Okay.
which I'm going to throw a little wrench in there. Anything Wilco and anything Pharrell.
All right, that's a nice assortment.
It's eclectic.
Yeah. What is a skill that you want to acquire in the next 40 years?
I would love to learn how to code and surf. So I'm giving you two.
Those
To
are
make
both.
up for some of my weak answers before.
No weak answers here. I haven't heard any weak ones. Those are both two excellent skills, actually. I would love to do those as well. If you were hosting this podcast, what is a question that you would want to ask our peers, other 40-year-olds?
What would I want to ask other 40-year-olds? Oh, that was a tough question. I think I would ask, what do you want to be in your next career? When is that going to be and why? Because I feel like people are starting new chapters all the time and that age has no bearing. And I find it fascinating.
I hope you're right. Like I hope there are 40-year-olds listening who are planning on or thinking about starting new careers, because I think there's also a huge faction out there who are just like one foot in front of the other, head down, and like, this is what I do and that's that, and they're done. But like,
I agree.
I hope that that's right. So what would you like to do for your next career? What are you thinking about?
Let's see. If I were to, I think it would be amazing. This is so opposite end of the spectrum. I think it would be amazing to start a restaurant concept with my husband because he's the real chef of our household. Of course, I would run all the marketing,
Right.
But have sort of like an institution that brings great food to the suburbs where we live, because you tend to find the really unique and eclectic cuisine in the city where it's a little bit more dense. I mean, obviously
Sure.
Chicago is known for its food, and then it sort of peters out when you get to the suburbs and you start to see more chains, and it's like, oh. So I think that would be really fun. We'd probably kill each other.
Restaurateur. That's a tough one. I know.
I didn't say I was doing it, but I think it would be really cool.
Fun to think about.
Yeah.
I noticed on your blog one of the things you love is $1 Million Listing. You prefer Josh Flagg or Josh Altman?
I like Altman.
Interesting.
What does that mean? Whenever someone responds interesting, that's when you know they're like, wow.
I wasn't expecting you to say that. I thought you were going to go Josh Flagg there.
Yeah. Yeah.
What is one thing that you hope to accomplish in the next decade, let's say? It could be work or personal, and why?
So I actually just wrote about this. My biggest goal is to make sure that my kids know how amazing and how special and how talented they are, and they continue to pursue whatever they want to, whether it's friendships or careers or whatever, with confidence. Because I think there's been like a very slow deterioration of it, specifically with girls. We've had some incidents that are starting way younger than I remember. So my single life mission is for them to, walk with their head held high and not let anyone make them feel any different.
Great. I hope you succeed.
Me too. Not easy.
Now that you have experience as a parent, what is something that, looking back, your parents or parent did very well?
I can answer that one easily. So I had a really nice childhood, and my father worked very hard. He owned his own business. And I think the thing that they both did so tremendously well was make us work. They could have handed us so much, and we had some pretty amazing opportunities, but we always had to work for it. And I'm not talking like you did some chores and got handed $100 bill, which, I mean, crazier things have happened, I hear. I'm talking about, like, I started waitressing as soon as it was legal.
Nice.
I would make everyone waitress at least, or wait tables at least once in their lives. But, I always worked really hard. And I think growing up, throughout everything, people always assumed that my parents had bought or, helped us with a down payment or whatever. And that was never the case. They never did that, ever. So I think the work ethic is probably the biggest gift they ever gave me.
Great. If you could live the life of any fictional character, who would that be?
Gosh, that's such a tough question. Fictional character. Gosh, let me think about it for a second. I'm sorry for the lag time.
No problem at all.
I guess I should start reading books. So now I'm just like movies.
It could be movie, TV. Doesn't even have to be a.
Oh, this is really superficial and trite, but that new it's not new now. Was it Superwoman or Wonder Woman? What was that movie that just came out and she was just a badass?
I think Wonder Woman came out. I mean, I'm certainly not in that genre of film.
She was
Wonder Woman.
awesome. Yes.
That works for me. If you had to live outside of North America permanently, where would you choose to live?
Yeah. I would say Argentina. Yeah, I would say Argentina. There's just like a different way of life. Like, they all work hard and they're really successful, but they also enjoy life. So what is it, the saying? They don't live to work like I feel like we do. They work to live. And it's very metropolitan still. So.
Yeah, I mean, that seems to be the case a lot of places outside of outside of America. Actually.
Yeah, everything that we do is basically opposite.
Right. If you had to think of one of the more terrifying moments of your life, what would that be?
The day my first daughter was born, which is somewhat like, really?
Right.
So I had her at the end of 29 weeks. I turned 30 in the hospital. She was a preemie. So that was terrifying because I was completely unprepared. I had a medical complication, and I never even held her when she was born. She went straight to the NICU. And that started a pretty long journey of an education that I did not possess. But she's great. And now she's the tallest kid in her class, so go figure.
Right. Funny how that works out.
Yeah.
Tell me about your wedding proposal. Or marriage proposal, rather.
Well, I've actually known my husband since we were 18. I met him at a party before entering my freshman year of college, except he was hitting on my friend, or he liked her. He didn't really care much about me. But somehow I had figured out through conversation that he was going to the same school as me. And I said, okay, well, I'm going to call you up on the first day. I have no idea where that set of balls came from, but I did.
Nice work.
Because I didn't know anyone, and so I did. And we actually became best friends right from start, except I was like madly in love with him, and he wanted nothing to do with me because what freshman boy wants to be in a real relationship? So anyways, years had passed, and we were like two ships passing the night. Then he would say, oh, well, maybe I should give this a shot. And I was dating someone, and so on and so forth. And went through a difficult relationship in my 20s. And then, anyways, long story short, we started dating after I had turned 30 and gotten out of a particularly bad relationship. And once we hit go and officially dated, which we never had before, it just was very natural. So I didn't have this grandiose proposal. He asked me to go to dinner one night and came over to my apartment with a bouquet of flowers. It was raining. He was sopping wet. And he was buzzing. And I was like, well, you have a key and I'm getting ready. Can you just use your key? And he kept buzzing, which I thought was hugely irritating. And then when I opened the door, he had this huge bouquet of flowers. He was dripping wet in a raincoat.
Right.
And I knew something was up. And he read a letter, and it was very thoughtful. And then I was like, okay. And he's like, is that your answer? And we went out and had a nice dinner. It was very mature, but I didn't have like a, helicopter ride or anything you see on Instagram.
That's okay. We weren't looking for anything so grandiose. We just want to know a little story.
It was great.
What is a quirk of yours that few people know about?
So I have this tendency, especially when I know that I'm going to be late somewhere, to start straightening up, which exacerbates the issue. My mother does it.
Start straightening up like your house if you're already running
Yes.
late. So you essentially make yourself later.
Right. Like it's a little bit of an OCD tendency, I guess you could say, more than a little. Like I'll start straightening up pillows. I'll make sure things are in the dishwasher. I'll check locks. It's true.
In those moments, are you waiting for someone else to get ready so you can leave? Or are you able to walk out the door and just decide not to?
No, I can't do it. It drives my husband nuts. Just nuts. And he's commented on it several times. My mother does the same exact thing.
Very cool.
Is it though? I don't think so.
It's unique. It's unique, and unique is cool. So I'm with it.
Okay.
Being a Chicago lifer, who do you choose, Oprah or Jordan?
Jordan.
Michael.
Yes.
All right.
That's a whole nother can of worms if you really want to go there.
We'll talk about that one off air.
Yeah.
What would you eat for your last meal?
I think I would choose a steak frite.
From anywhere in particular?
Well, I know where I would choose it in Chicago, but I think nothing beats like a bistro, well done steak frite. There's two places in Chicago, Mon Ami Gabi or Bistro Zinc. And elsewhere I've had many, but I couldn't recollect all of them.
All right. Steak frite it is.
Yeah.
What is a great compliment that you received that has stuck with you?
Well, on the surface, people have said to me, and this really parlays into blogging, wow, you really look like your pictures.
Is that necessarily a compliment?
I think it is because I think we're in a world of heavy editing.
Right.
Um, I get a little help along the way, but I've had people say that to me on more than one occasion. Or, oh, wow, I would never guess that you're 40. And so that is a compliment.
That is for sure.
Um, and then I think from an intellectual standpoint, people say, wow, you're brutally honest, and they either love it or hate it. Maybe I should be in New York. Maybe that's why I love New York.
When were you in New York?
For a long time in my career, I was in a stint with a digital website, a beauty website for 8.5 years. And I flew to New York twice a month for probably 4 years.
Wow.
And it was a lot of fun. I regret not living there.
You never lived here, though. You've always been Chicago, right?
Yeah,
Right.
I wish I would have.
What should...
Now it's too late for me.
No, it's not. Never too late.
It's too late for my wallet with children.
Maybe after your kids go off. And...
the way I want to live.
Right. But, your kids will, one day, I know we don't want to think about it, but they'll be off on their own, and then the world is your oyster. You can live wherever you
We'll
want.
buy a tiny closet and just eat a lot of steak free.
What is something that all 40-year-olds should go and do or try ASAP? A call to action for the 40-year-old crowd.
That's a good question. All 40-year-olds. I think stop trying to please everyone, and it's not, like go hop on a plane. Although, again, I would definitely say travel places that make you uncomfortable. And this goes to really any age, but I do have a lot of friends that are really comfortable being comfortable.
Yeah.
Like, for example, my husband and I are trying to plan for our 10-year trip to India. He lived there for about almost 3 months, and I just want a cultural shakeup. At this point in my life, like, I can stay at beaches. So I think travel and do things that make you uncomfortable.
Great advice. I hope everyone goes and takes that.
But if you're scared of that, just be uncomfortable every day doing something.
Well, if you're scared of something, then maybe that's more of a reason to go and try it and do it these days.
Yeah. Yes.
If you could work for any person in the world, who would it be and what job would you want?
I would work for Jeff Lewis. Yep, TV.
Doing what?
The interior designer. I don't, he has various roles. So I don't want to get into interior design and drawing and all that and decor and being an architect, because I think that's a different. But I think I would want to work under him in some capacity, whether it's marketing or new business development. A lot of people, he's not for everyone because he's, again, another intense personality. But he has a way of commanding people to see a vision or do what he says, and I think it's really interesting. I think there's an element of sales in everything, and that's also what I do. I don't create content for social media. I'm in sales. So I just think he's fascinating.
Great. Jeff Lewis it is. When your kids turn 40, how do you want them to finish the sentence? The most important thing my mom taught me was blank.
I mean, how many answers can I have?
Well, the most important, so
to be authentic.
Focus on one.
To be authentic, to be them, because there's no one else like them.
Great. What is a pet peeve of yours?
Inauthenticity. Chewing with your mouth open. Taking your shoes off on planes. How much time do you have?
Those all work.
Social climbing. Yep, that's another one.
Yep, that's a big one. That one works for me too. Well, we're at the end here. So for our final question, what song did you choose to play us out of here today, and why did you choose it?
It's a song called "Parking Lot" by Anderson .Paak, and I discovered him because of my husband, who's also a music junkie. It's not like it has this profound direction or lyric. I mean, the lyrics are great, but when I listen to that song, I find it highly motivating. I feel like it's a hustle song. Like, it's a song you should listen to when you're going on a meeting and you need to go kill it.
All right. Would that work for a exercise routine also, if you're going to the gym and want to go kill it?
I I think only if you're lifting, not for cardio.
right.
It's a little bit too slow for that, but I think it's a really awesome song, and I love his sound. So
Yeah, his sound is very cool. Great voice. All right, Parking Lot coming your way. Where can people find you online?
A lot of places. So my personal website is johannagrange.com. My company is Oak Street, which is usually abbreviated stsocial.com. And if you just want to make it easy, you can find me at Joe Grange on Instagram.
And it's J-O Grange on Instagram, but Johanna is an H, Johanna,
Yes.
just to be clear.
Thank you. Clarity, yes.
Very cool. So go check out Johanna, say hello. Thank you for being here today. This was a lot of fun.
Thanks for having me.
My pleasure. Thanks everyone for listening to another episode of Past the 40. We'll see you soon.
Thank you.